Yeah, I feel like this is like a good example of kind of what I often do on drums, a little more EQ. But I think it's just like kind of little moves with a lot of stuff. We have this guy, which I love.
What is that?
It's like crazy
It's the
percussion.
screech. It's the screech.
And what's actually funny, yeah.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians.
So a lot of the songs on Virgin did start with these quite simple kind of drum loops that would come from Jimmy that we would then flesh out. This one is an interesting one because it started, we basically wrote an entire song of melody over the sort of very simple initial drum loop and, piano chords.
How was that drum loop created? I mean, how was your approach?
Yeah, so that original one, I mean, that was just a bunch of different sounds and stuff like chopped up. So I subbed out like a lot of those drum samples for we recorded a drum machine. It's the CR8000. And then it's basically all just like processed and chopped drum machine instead of like a bunch of different samples. But so to go through, this is really like the basis of it all. Very simple, kind of classic, has that like youthful feeling to it though in the rhythm. But it started in let's see if there's anything on these, kind of not really outside some EQ and stuff. But to just get here, it was just really some minor effects, some distortion and like gating. I think it's just big things, but so it sounds super different. And then Devil Lock is just something I kind of put on everything. That kind of cranks it up, pulls it all together a bit more. And then Decimort just makes it sound, I don't know, messed up in a way we love.
Cooked.
Because one of the things that I like about it is there's this kind of softness to it as well.
Yeah, totally.
So that it's there, it's consistent, but it doesn't annihilate you.
Yeah, it's not like beating you over the head.
And we sort of had more annihilating versions, and it was just
way
this
more.
thing of being like, we have to let the song breathe,
And I think just like from there, just embracing the groove and kind of, we have this little like percussion loop over it too. Kind of sounds like it's like breathing or something. A lot of like sound shift. It's kind of like a favorite to mine. Sound shift is like the best plugin ever. But like this was originally like that's the original drum machine clap. Then we pitched it way down and spread it out to the side. And then some EQ. But like just kind of doing basic stuff, I think, with the drum part to make it lift like just barely enough. Again, like using as few tools possible to do it. And like for that, sorry, back to the drum. So it's just hi-hat at the chorus, basically. Keeping it simple, super spare.
very limited.
We have this guy, which I love.
What is that?
It's like crazy
It's the
percussion.
screech. It's the screech.
And what's actually funny, it's a nice little abrasive touch. But it's funny, even in ending up back here, I was reminded of just throwing together some of these old versions when we did like the fully different drum beat.
Oh my God.
Like, should we play that?
Yeah.
Do it.
I was a singer. You
We were trying everything at this point.
Again, just like
They
being
go.
super spare. Like it's just these kind of patty synths and it's just drums. Like how do we maximize it? Like is it changing some of the drums up?
But it was too decadent. I was like,
Yeah, it's completely distracts from the song. I think like especially here.
Cause I'm an actress. All the medals I were on for ya.
I mean,
But that's I mean it sounds cool, but that's where the little
It's
crazy
interesting though,
quirk
because it
came
can
from.
be quite easy to go to town on that kind of stuff and get lost in the sound and
Tell me about it.
really
Describing
enjoy
my
it.
life. Yeah.
But it's hard to then realize, we spent hours, if not days, working on that kind of thing. It's not right. It doesn't do what we want it
Totally.
to do.
And you can trick yourself into thinking like, oh well, if we put a whole day into reprogramming drums, like must be the right thing. And then you listen to the next thing, you're like, nope, this doesn't work at all.
This episode is being supported by our good friends at Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then as far as we're concerned, switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. It's free, and there are a load of features you won't find on Apple's Voice Memos app, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, include photos of settings, and you can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So head to the link below to install the app now. And if you want even more, check out Tape It Pro and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off. And now, back to the episode.
So yeah, I mean, this just started with drum. I remember I don't know if you remember this, but I had these drums over like another just chord progression I made and sent you like way back in the day.
It's gone.
Yeah, but I thought they were cool drums, and so we just kind of started anew over them. But definitely like a lot of the early elements of just the, it being like just space notes, like not too like chord heavy, like from the first day we did it, all that stuck. And it was just a matter of, something we did throughout so much of the album was just like kind of our patchwork of like putting things together, the embroidery, as you've said, and just kind of getting all these little pieces, putting them together, making it most effective. But I mean, yeah, it was really just drums to start it off. And I think actually the song starts with drums that were just when the SM7, like what Ella would record a lot of the scratch melodies on, was just recorded in the room, that I caught that on the just in Logic and just like chopped it up, and the recording of just the drums playing. You can hear that.
Yeah.
It's pretty like crappy sounding, but in a good way. But that's like starts the song. And then just building on top of that, put it again like through my amp. And then there's a kick too. And then just some like cassette layers too. Like here. I mean, I'm obsessed with these drums, just how there's all these like tiny layers we did that make it what it is. And then you get to the chorus, and it's like kind of all this stuff like recorded through the SM7, recorded through an amp, recorded through a cassette, and then you get to the chorus and it's just plain, direct in the box. It kind of all comes in your face. Then like just, no effects, nothing. It's like all real stuff and then like nothing real, quote unquote.
Yeah. And are you processing the drums in any way, or?
Yeah, so with these, I mean, again, it's like a lot of the first stuff you hear is like, through a cassette or the
and is that,
amp that's just like EQ and stuff.
Is it a real cassette or is it a plug-in?
That's real.
Yeah.
So you're recording it to cassette and then playing it back in from the cassette.
Yeah.
So you are
and
actually
just recording the cassette player.
Yeah. Wow.
It's all like, again, like real.
Yeah.
And then in terms of processing them all together, I feel like this is like a good example of kind of what I often do on drums, but which is just like little radiator, just pretty basic. SSL, comp, API, EQ, then OTT for like a little more energy, a little more EQ. But I think it's just like kind of little moves with a lot of stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's just like that really drives so much of the song. Later in this, I mean, I'll go through the other elements, but later in the song, like we do have live drums that really fill it out so nice in the second verse.
Right. And those initial drum sounds, have you assembled a drum library for yourself over the years?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, some of these are like some of the first sounds I ever downloaded. And then other ones are just like random, whatever. So maybe something from like Splice or, something like that, just over the years. But then, yeah, we eventually put like these live drums on it, which felt awesome, and kind of crescendo in the end here. But yeah, that was like our drum language.